This is Audiommunity, a podcast about our body's never-ending fight with the outside world. The immune system is involved in all of human health, more or less, and I think it's really important to understand that.
I work on DNA viruses in general, which would make, I think, every virologist cringe and disown me.
My goal is to make someone that is interested in the topic but doesn't have any background capable of using our site and really figuring out how these concepts work and sort of integrating that into their day-to-day understanding of the world around them.
If you have no idea what a lymph node is, then don't worry about it. We'll get there someday. This is Audiommunity, Episode 0, and we're a podcast about the immune system. I'm Kevin Bonham, and I study how the cells of our immune system recognize infectious organisms. Joining me is Matt Woodruff.
Hi, I'm Matt Woodruff. I am interested, what am I interested in? I am also an immunology student, so we are grad students together. All three of us are actually.
I probably should have mentioned that I'm a graduate student,
yeah, so
shouldn't
I will let everyone know that Kevin is also a grad student, as is Kate. And I look at lymph node architecture and how the architecture of the lymph node actually affects the sort of development of immune response in response to viral vaccination. And I look a lot at dendritic cell migration and T-cell activation and all things that I'm sure that we will talk extensively about in these wonderful podcasts that we are putting together.
I was going to say, if you have no idea what a lymph node is, then don't worry about it. We'll get there someday.
Yeah, then by the way, you are at exactly the same level of knowledge that I was at when I started graduate school in immunology. So there's that. And so joining us as well is Kate. I've already mentioned that she's a grad student, so we've got that covered. But Kate, why don't you tell us about yourself?
Hi, I'm Kate, and I'm a graduate student in virology, and I'm actually in the same lab as Kevin. So I study primarily how host cells can detect the presence of viruses. So specifically, I've been interested in DNA viruses.
Which kind of DNA virus do you work on?
I work on DNA viruses in general, which would make, I think, every virologist cringe and disown me.
In our lab, we don't like to deal with specifics. We like to deal in generalities.
It's usually easier that way, actually. I find it, and also more interesting.
Yeah, so I've looked at models of HIV during it. It has actually an RNA and a DNA form, so I've looked at the DNA life cycle of HIV and detection, and I've tried to get some like pox stuff off the ground, but I also do like dirty tricks and just pretend like they're DNA viruses by transfecting in DNA to the cells.
So basically punching holes in the cell membrane, shoving artificial DNA in there, and the cells think it's a virus and they go nuts.
Yeah, or something.
Well, so the idea for this podcast was to take the conversations that we think are a lot of fun, that Kate and I yell at each other about in lab, and turn that into a podcast. And I decided we should invite Matt on too, because
he's smarter
would
than
prevent us from just screaming at each other.
That remains to be seen. I don't think that's true at all. I think you're going to be sorely disappointed, everyone listening.
Maybe Kevin just wanted to have immunologists like majority. So every time that I was like, no, he was like, no, the breaking vote is an immunologist. Yeah. He's on my side.
In reality, the idea was that most of us listen to podcasts like This Week in Virology, This Week in Microbiology, and I listen to a number of other science podcasts, and there seems to be a little bit of a vacuum in immunology, which is what Matt and I are doing our graduate work in, and Kate, even though she's a dirty virologist, she decided to look at the immune system to study virology. So she's sort of an adopted immunologist.
I'm a combo, like a Taco Bell Pizza Hut combo.
I used to eat so many combos. Can I just say that I ate a lot of combos growing up? That's my contribution to that story.
Thanks, Matt. Wonderful.
I liked the pretzel ones. Yeah, so I think Kevin's absolutely right in that there is a bit of a vacuum out there. But I think one of the major thrusts of this as well is to really get really complex immunology knowledge. So a lot of people approach immunology from sort of a scared place, and a lot of the reason for that is that the nomenclature in immunology is really, really hard, and a lot of the ideas are pretty nested and complex. But these concepts, while they seem complicated on the outside, can be described in a way where people can really, I think, come away with a good working knowledge of how the immune system works, even if you're not trained in it. So that's sort of where I'm really excited about this.
And everybody has a sort of concept of what the immune system does. I mean, you get sick and then you get better. And sometimes people get sick and don't get better. And sometimes your immune system makes you sick, and that gets complicated. But really, the immune system is involved, at least peripherally, in basically every single human disease, whether it's inflammation that is a byproduct of the disease, or whether it's inflammation and immune responses that are causing the disease. The immune system is involved in all of human health, more or less. And I think it's really important to understand that.
And to provide some specific examples, I mean, things that people think about are things like HIV. I mean, inflammation, autoimmunity, things that Kevin just spoke about, but
influenza,
also
more common.
Influenza, which is, something that I work on. So it's near and dear to my heart. But what we're also talking about are things like cancer. Cancer has a huge immunological component, and your immune system plays a huge role in the surveillance and making sure that cancer doesn't get out of hand. Or diabetes. I actually room with two people that study diabetes as it relates to the immune system, and it turns out that those two things are super integrated with each other. So there's a lot of reach of the immune system that people sort of don't see on a day-to-day basis, and I think it's a good thing that we're... Oh, go ahead.
Even things like Alzheimer's disease, which probably the immune system isn't necessarily involved in causing the disease or in perpetuating the disease. We know that the immune system is doing something. So in Alzheimer's disease, you have these plaques that are forming in the brain that people think are the cause of Alzheimer's, and those plaques cause inflammation in the brain. And whether that has any role in how the disease progresses or is an avenue for treatment, we don't actually know. But the immune system is there. It's doing something. It's intimately involved in almost every body process. So
I think this is, a topic that people are genuinely interested in, but it is often inaccessible because of the complexity of the topic sometimes. So I guess one of my major goals in all of this is to, just create a series of resources in addition to a podcast. And I think the conversations will be fun, and I'm really looking forward to them.
Yeah, let's say that just hearing people talk about the immune system might be a little tough, and a lot of the concepts, as we mentioned, are really dense. So one of the things that we're going to try to do is to provide other resources as well. And some of those are going to be visual resources and diagrams. And Matt, you want to...
Yeah, so actually, I guess this is a good time to sort of plug some things that we already have up if you're hearing this. We are emunity.org, Kevin, Matt, Kate. But within Emunity, we've actually got two main focuses. One is Audiommunity, which you're listening now. Hopefully that will continue to...
Hopefully they're still listening now.
Exactly. Hopefully they're still listening now. But the other side of that is Visimmunity. And so if you go to our website, and again, that's emunity.org, which you're probably already on, so I don't know why I'm directing you there. But we will be developing this hopefully huge series of visual tools that really sort of break the concepts down that we're talking about on the audio side. And my goal personally is when my mom listens to these, which, of course she's going to every single week.
Hear that, Mom? You're listening every single week.
Exactly. So my goal is to make someone that is interested in the topic but doesn't have any background capable of using our site and really figuring out how these concepts work and sort of integrating that into their day-to-day understanding of the world around them. And I'd also like to point out, we are all new to this. This is not something that we have done before. So prior to 2-3 weeks ago, Kevin did not know how to audio edit. I had just started working with some more complicated Adobe Illustrator stuff. So hopefully this will be
I tried to code a website from scratch and then decided that that was stupid and I should probably just use WordPress instead.
And I found out that I don't know anything about the internet. I thought I was all good, but apparently all that exists for me is Gmail and Facebook. And everything else is a black hole.
So yeah, it's just, I think, important to point out that this is totally a work in progress. I think we all have a really cool vision of where this could potentially go. And I hope everybody sort of follows along with us as we learn new cool things. I'm learning to animate right now, so I'm really hoping to get some animations up. It'd be cool to do some interactive graphic stuff, interviews, things like this.
And what that also means is that if you have suggestions as an audience, we are very likely to incorporate them into what we're doing because we want this to be as fun and also educational as possible. And we think it can be. And if you have suggestions for how to make that better, we are almost certain to respond.
Especially since there's only going to be 2 on the outset. Matt's mom and my mom.
Exactly, yeah. Our audience, we'll have a test audience. Lots of betas.
That is Audiommunity, episode 0, and you can find us at emunity.org. Also, all over the internet, we are Kate, Matt, and Kevin at emunity.org if you want to send us an email. I'm on Twitter and Google+, Kate's on Facebook, and we have a Facebook page, and give us feedback, tell us what we could improve. Obviously, this is just an introductory episode, so there's not much to say, but hopefully we're going to be putting episode 1 up as well. It's going to be about transplantation, which should be pretty cool.
Agreed.
Thanks for listening.
Peace.